I think there's a belief in Japan that there is a kind of business English that is completely different from regular English. I would just like to say that there isn't for good speaking. I mean, maybe business English is slightly more formal. Yes. I think people get confused because there's what we call jargon, right? Too much jargon, um, meaning words that only people in that particular business know, like initials of different products and the CRV and the TVWS and the XR3247s. If you don't know what those products are, you're sitting there going, "Oh, I'm not good at English." Maybe you are good at English, you just don't know that jargon. But anyway, that's another lesson. But so making a presentation for business, for a meeting, in at a conference, these are highly stressful times, of course, but with a little preparation and a little thought, you can do it. If you are reading this book and following these videos, you can do it. Okay, so I have how many here? 7 tips. We'll go through these. These were suggested by the British Council, which is an English language school, and it kind of tries to promote the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. So it's quite useful. Let's have a look. Okay, 7 points. Number one, understand your audience. Yeah, if you're talking to people who want to buy your product, or are you talking to people in your office? Are you talking to older people, younger people, men, women? Are they native speakers? Are they second language speakers? All of these things affect how you prepare for your speech. Number two, mind your language. Be careful of your language. So again, most people will expect you to give a so-so formal presentation, but it needs to be direct, easy to understand language. That's good news. You don't have to have lots of jargon. Number three, practice. Keep practicing. Stand in front of a mirror. Say your speech. If you have any bits, any phrases that are difficult to say, try practicing them until they become easier. If you still can't say them, change the vocabulary. Say what you can say. Don't try and say words you can't say. Okay, number four. Oh, yeah, don't forget to introduce yourself at the beginning. You may be nervous when you stand up there and just start your speech. Beginner's error. Introduce yourself. Hello, my name is Patrick Sheriff. I live in Japan. I'm going to talk about blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yes. And in fact, that I started that naturally with a structure and have a clear structure. Here's a simple structure you can use that we often say. Number one, say what you're going to say. Number two, say it. Number three, say what you just said. What does that mean? Well, so if I'm giving a speech about, what am I giving a speech about? If I give a speech about aeroplanes, I might say, okay, I'm going to give you a speech about aeroplanes, and there are 3 things I want to say. Number one, blah, blah, blah about airplanes. Number two, blah, blah, blah about airplanes. Number three, blah, blah, blah about airplanes. Finally, as you can see, the most important thing was blah, blah, blah. Thank you for listening to my speech. That's a very, very basic structure, but it's a good one. Keep it simple. Okay, more advanced and better is use storytelling. If you can capture your audience's imagination, tell a story that somehow illustrates, shows your main point. Great if you can tell about yourself and a real thing that happened to you and that shows something, or tell a story about a famous person or something that you've read, But about a human that had a similar problem and solved it, people love that kind of thing. Finally, add a call to action. This is good business technique with anything. Let the audience know what you want them to do. A call to action is like, now that you've heard my speech, would you like to fly on an airplane? Or why don't you buy this book about airplanes? There's a reason why you're giving a speech. tell people what the next thing to do is. Good business practice, generally. Okay, there's some questions. Excuse me. There's some questions in the book. Here are three. Do you know any lines from famous speeches? No, this is not the right questions. I didn't write these questions. Ah, okay. Let's invent some questions. Have you ever, number one, let me write this down. Whoa, this is a strange one, isn't it? Hold on. Okay. Have you ever given a business speech? Have I given a business speech? Type that into there. I'm writing the book as I'm making this video. So, number two, what's the hardest part of giving a speech? What's the hardest part of giving a speech? Finally, something about structure. Can you structure a speech? Do Japanese structure speeches? Not so much speeches, structure presentations in the same way. Is it different? I don't know. Okay, so that's number one. Have you ever given a business speech? Tell me about it. Number two, what's the hardest part of giving a, let's not say speech, giving a presentation? Number three, do Japanese structure presentations in the same way? When you're speaking in the Japanese, is it the same rules or are they different? Okay, thank you for bearing with me. And as I wrote this on the fly, we say, there we go. Okay, thank you very much. See you next time.